Bismillah wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Brothers and sisters, I was reflecting on the Taliban, and I was reflecting on the situation with the war. Thinking to myself, what would happen if just somebody from a foreign country comes and kicks in my door in the middle of the night? I think most people would fight back. But also, there was a time where it looked absolutely impossible for the Taliban to defeat the United States of America in war, but they did. They clearly defeated them, and they took their military gear. you know, so it's really interesting, and I think there's lessons that anybody can learn. You know, anybody can learn from the Taliban. Lessons on resilience. Now we know as Muslims we create things. I mean, look at Malaysia, what they're doing with biotech. Look at UAE, their space program. Look at Qatar, the education city. Uh, Look at the Muslims leading in sports, like the Dagestani UFC fighters. Look at how the International Open University, as far as I know, was the first free university. It was literally free to study there for years. You just had to pay a small registration fee. And now they give thousands of scholarships to people all over the world in poor places that can't afford to educate themselves. And they're studying the truth of Islam, and they're also studying agriculture, and they're studying computer science, and they're studying psychology, and they're making big advancements in psychology. And it's such a forward-thinking university that holds on to the Sunnah. I know because I worked for them for a while as a contractor. I was a counselor there at one point. And there's so many good things going on, like revival movements in places like Morocco, Algeria, and Tunisia. Their Arabization movements to replace French with Arabic. We have a history, the Muslims, of creating science like algebra, Khwarizmi, the scientific method like Ibn Haytham. We've given And the biggest thing is we've given the world the last pure form of morality, the Quran. Because let's face it, if you live in the West like I do, nobody can agree what right and wrong is anymore. Is it wrong for two men to marry? Oh, is incest wrong? A father and a daughter marrying each other, is that wrong if they're consenting adults? A'udhu billah. I seek refuge in God from the devil and devilish ideas. The fact of the matter is people are lost in the West. They really have no framework to decide what is right and what is wrong. But here comes a shining star, the Quran, showing people the right way. Al-haqqu min rabbik, fala takunanna min al-mumtarin. The truth is from your Lord, so don't be from those who hesitate, as Allah says in the Quran. Don't have one foot on the boat, one foot on the dock. Be a Muslim. Say Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, and then walk the straight path. And understand that La ilaha illallah, it has criteria and conditions. You have to have yaqeen. You know, you have to have love of Allah. And there's other criteria of La ilaha illallah. And you have to disbelieve in what other people worship, because that's what La ilaha illallah means. La ilaha. If somebody said that and was quiet, then they are a disbeliever. Illallah, they just say, hey, Allah is God, but everything else that people worship is correct too, then that person's a polytheists, but we have to combine them together. So the Muslims, we contribute to the world. We're good neighbors. Almost everywhere I go, I see the Muslims cooking for their non-Muslim neighbors, being friendly, being good to them, but not always getting the same reciprocation. But we do it for Allah's sake. The Muslims should reflect on several general lessons that we can learn from the Taliban about resilience under pressure. The Taliban, you know, there might be a controversial group. It might not be perfect in everything they do. But here's a breakdown of values that we can accept from them: belief and conviction, remaining firm in one's belief, especially under pressure or adversity. It's a trait praised in Islam. The Quran often speaks about the steadfastness of the prophets and the righteous people in the face of hardship, resilience and patience. Muslims are encouraged to be patient and resilient, trusting in Allah's plan. The Taliban, besides on paper at least being militarily weaker, I think they have the best men, and the best men win. That's what I think. But On paper, they seem to be militarily weaker. They endured 20 years of war, their women being raped, the Taliban being um, tortured, and all type of horrible things being done to them. The Taliban treated people so good, and you never hear about this in the news, that some of those people accepted Islam, who were under their control, that they captured them. There's a lady, I forgot her name, I think is her name Ridley, who was a captive of the Taliban, and she eventually, after she was freed, she accepted Islam. And we have to be very careful as Muslims to listen to the narratives that come from the media. Somebody once said, if you read the news, you'll be misinformed. If you don't read it, you'll be uninformed. There's not much benefit in reading the news. If you're going to read the news, try to read it in Arabic, or learn a new language at least, pick up some new words. That's the benefit. Unity of purpose. They all worked together. The Taliban. They weren't scattered. Even with limited resources, groups that are united behind a clear goal often outlast better equipped opponents. We can learn that as Muslims. We should avoid division and work together with sincerity. Now, that doesn't mean we don't have any type of criteria. We need to join together on Tawheed, because if Muslims can't join together on Tawheed, we can't join on anything. I don't care about your culture, and you don't care about my American culture, but we can join together on Tawheed. That's what we have to join together on. And try to understand things the way the Prophet, and the people who spend the most time with him, the Sahaba. It even says in the Quran that Allah is pleased with the Sahaba, the Ansar, and the Muhajirin. Those are the Sahaba. But then we have Muslim groups telling us, oh, don't listen to the Sahaba. They're all evil and things like this. This is ridiculous. The truth is from your Lord, so don't be from those who hesitate. We have to follow the religion according to the way of the Prophet, the religion. But we also must work hard in the world and strive to master science and build our societies, build up Syria, build up Afghanistan. We should go over there and open up a programming school. Take your skills that you have and go to the Muslim world, and go there with the attitude of benefiting them, not you benefiting, right? And then we will be walking in the line of the Sahaba in the past. Rejection of defeatism. We can learn that from the Taliban. Muslims should never see themselves as weak just because of worldly measures. And we're always stronger than what we think. But you have to stand guard to the door of your mind and not let every idea that comes inside of your mind take it hook, line, and sinker, as they say. Victory comes from Allah, not just through material means, but we should also work to have strength in material means as well. Why not? But we don't put things second to submitting to the Quran and the Sunnah. There are some people, out of their ignorance, they never studied Mustalah Hadith. They say things like, we don't accept Hadith. You don't accept Hadith? Then you basically left a religion, because there is no religion without Hadith. How exactly do you offer Salat? Offer the Eid prayer? How exactly, do you make the Hajj? How exactly do you do all of these things? Yes, the Quran mentions a lot of these things, but not the details usually. And what is the thought process of the Muslim? A lot of that you get from the Hadith. So much good being done right now in this day and age from the Muslims. We don't have to look back to the Islamic golden age all the time. There's so many advancements and so many good things, but all of them are like dust if we do not hold on to the Quran and the Sunnah. So the lessons are true. Remain firm on the truth. Trust in Allah. Work hard. Never give up on the mission as long as it aligns with the Quran and the Sunnah. And that's what the Taliban had. They had a mission. We're going to get these people who have occupied the world, have caused so much destruction and evil everywhere they go. We're going to kick them out. The French, the United States, the Danish, everywhere they go, they don't bring good and morality. They bring evil and division. The way they took Africa and the Muslim world and divided it all up. No, we have to hold steady and firm. There was a president who once said, I believe it was JFK, a very popular president here in the U.S., Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you could do for your country, or as he actually said. But we should be asking ourselves, ask not what the ummah is doing for you, but what you are doing for the ummah. So go to Syria, go to Afghanistan, and help build those countries and follow the leadership of those countries. Take technology there. Take your websites, hire the local people, and help build those countries, their economy. This is how the Muslim has to think. You know, we're all like the fingers on the hand, and when we ball it up, now we got something strong, right? So we need to work together. تعاونوا على البر والتقوى ولا تعاونوا على إثم والعدوان. You know, join together on piety and righteousness, and don't join together on sin and transgression. So we should all have goals to learn Arabic, memorize Quran, understand the religion the way the Prophet had, and join together on Tawheed. Because if we don't join together on Tawheed, we will never join together on anything. You don't care about my culture, I don't really care about yours. We need to join on Tawheed. And don't let anybody fool you. And if you've never read the book Kitab Tawheed by Muhammad ibn Wahhab, and he might be controversial also, but read that book because he wrote a masterpiece, Kashf Shubahat, removing the doubts. Another good book on Tawheed, Aqidah Wasatiyah, all these great books. So guys, sisters, learn Arabic, memorize the Quran, and let's understand the way the Prophet wanted us to understand the religion and his Sahaba. Because Allah said in the Quran that He's pleased with them. And let's not just make things up. And let's reflect on the Taliban, on how strong they are, the fear that they dealt with. Allah teaches us in the Quran, وَلَنَّبْلُوَنَّكَ بِشَيْءٍ بِخَوْفِ وَجُوعِ وَنَقْصٍ مِنَ الْأَمْوَالِ وَأَنفُسِ وَثَمَرَاتِ وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ. We're going to test you. We're going to test you with fear and hunger and a loss of wealth and a loss of vegetation. And the loss of your life. But glad tidings to those people who are patient. And then he said, who are the patient people? Those are the people that they say we are from Allah and to Him we return. We are from Allah and it's to Allah we return. Those are the people who are patient. So let's have that patient mindset. Patience isn't, oh, I can't do anything. No. Patience is I put my trust in Allah and I work hard. So inshallah, brothers and sisters, see you in the next video.